this is interesting. I wonder if that picks up. Oh, no, it goes away. Okay. Trying to work things out because it's hard to use an app that requires your camera in the darkness. But I think I found a little workaround, which I'll use until the sun comes up in a couple minutes. So this is a little bit of the aftermath of yesterday with the bans that happened to Commander. The Rules Committee responded with addressing some of the concerns that people had about their ruling. And the other big part is the people that were not made aware of it, which was apparently the the Commander Advisor Group, who's kind of like, I guess, another subsection of people who talk about what is good and what's bad for Commander, and who are supposedly people that the RC talks to before they make decisions. But it doesn't seem to be true, because Josh Lee Kwai, huge person in the community, decided to drop out of the CAG or the CAG, and he didn't really talk about it much. He just basically stated, this is just how I feel, and he wasn't for the bans. But he hasn't really been for many bans. I really like the bans he's been for. I like, even though I'm for no bans at all, but if I had to, I would lean heavily on what Josh Lee Kwai thinks is good for the format. He seems to have a fair way of putting things, because he likes both casual and competitive Commander. Like he will use the jankiest cards, but he'll still try his best to win, and that's how he finds fun in the game. So I like that a lot. So that's kind of a shocker. And of course, him and the other people on the command zone are just a part of the CAG. They are not on the rules committee, so they are not to blame for any of this. And especially when in that FAQ from, well, not really, but the response from the RC, the rules committee, they stated they did not tell the CAG about these bans because they couldn't trust them. Essentially, that's essentially what they said. They didn't want people to spoil or leak it because of the financial hit, I guess. But yeah, it was sad watching Josh talk about it and basically like sit there with like a sullen face and go, they just didn't trust us. And he's sitting there thinking like, well, WotC trusts us, so I don't understand why they couldn't trust us with this. Or, again, just be like, hey, we're thinking about these cards. I don't know. It's a shame. Hold on, fix my impromptu light there. It's a shame that that's kind of what's happened. So anyway, let me see if I can remember the things that the RC attempted to talk about. They were asked, are we gonna go back on these bans? They said no, because it's already been kind of a calamity, and taking it back would just make it worse. I beg to differ. I understand with people selling their cards and stuff like that, that it would suck for those people. Like, I get it. Like, it would be quite the debacle, and on some little level, like, they might even lose their ability to do bands from that kind of push and pull. So I kind of understand why, but I believe for the health of the format, Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus should be unbanned. Like, the Dockside, even though he's my guy, I really like Dockside. Apparently he was a bit of a nuisance, especially when you can copy him, flicker him, and just and basically you just double your treasures when you do so. Like, I understand why he's gone. And Nadu was obvious, so don't even need to talk about that. So yeah, they're saying they're not going to go back on it, which kind of stinks for now. They let me see, told about the CAG and not talking to anyone. They said, did we hit these cards because they were expensive? I'm sorry, I can't remember. I could pull it up and try to remember, but then I'd lose my light. So maybe I'll get back to you on that later today. And then another thing they were asked is that it seemed to have hit competitive commander hard. And they said, yeah, and like, they fully admit to not caring about that format. So yeah, I think that's kind of a red flag, that they're just ignoring a big part. Like, okay, I don't care how much of the community actually plays competitive Commander, but to sit there and just say, we don't care about them because this format's not for them. Well, I think that's kind of shitty. Let's see. I can't remember much else. I listened to a lot of stuff yesterday, so it's all kind of just jumbled in my brain again. If I remember something, I'll talk about it later today. But the other things I want to talk about, which came up in like a couple podcasts yesterday. Oh, my brain. People were talking about a huge push now for competitive Commander to have their own rulings. And some people were upsetty spaghetti about it, because like, oh, now we have to follow so many rules. Like, what rules are you doing? Are you doing casual rules? Are you doing competitive rules? Like, all these rules. Like, I understand. It's hard to keep up with all these bans to an extent. And it's, and then someone made the situation where, oh, I'm going to play with this deck. Oh, I forgot it had Mana Crypt in it. Oh, and then another point they bring up is like, oh, well, people just rule zero it in. And true, I guess true. Some play groups will just say, whatever, we'll play with these cards still. But another thing is it's generally weird to rule zero in cards. Especially when, okay, so it's a casual format, so most people are casual. I don't know, like, I'm pretty sure if I'm just like a basic player and someone's like, hey, there's these banned cards, but I really want to play them, can I play them? I'd be like, no, they're banned, probably for a reason. Again, this is if I was new-ish to the format, I wouldn't. In reality, I'd be like, play all your banned cards. I love banned cards. But, yeah. So it's very strange to Rule Zero in cards, and I got to listen to more competitive players respond to basically how fun the format was turning into, with some exceptions, of course. But they still play with really big, powerful cards. Fast card. You know what's faster than fast mana? Is cards that let you win the game out of nowhere. I would say that's pretty fast. I would say that might be toxic to a casual format in a sense. But the multiple ways of winning fast, they ain't banned. I have no idea what that would do to competitive. But hey, I'm just saying. People brought up, or they were trying to talk, like, okay, one of the podcasts I listened to was just people talking over one another the whole time, which I get, like, all of them had something to say, because there's a lot to say about these bands, but it was hard to listen to. So in the muddle of this discussion, if you can call it that, they were talking about, should we, the rules committee, according to them, not everybody, but okay, so they're saying, okay, a good, not a minority and not a majority of people did not like these bands. It's basically split down the middle. And I would agree with people that competitive Commander is a minority of Commander players. I don't know how much of a minority. I don't know if they are like 1%, 10%, 20%. But I'm highly suspicious if it's 50%, okay? If half the people are okay with this ban and half the people aren't, I don't think the people that saying they aren't happy about it are all competitive players. They're probably players that like or have a Jeweled Lotus or wanted a Jeweled Lotus or like Jeweled Lotus, or are people like Josh Lee Kwai that are like, hey, I know these cards are powerful, but that's what Rule Zero is for. I'm sorry, I just don't think, maybe on occasion, when the Jeweled Lotus comes out really early in the games, where someone actually has a Jeweled Lotus, remember this is casual, many people don't play Jeweled Lotuses in their decks. I don't care how many are on online deck forums. Most people don't upload their decks there. Excuse me. So, for the occasional Sacred Lotus, I get my Commander out turn 3, and I basically snowball from there. I mean, if you encounter that a lot and you don't play competitive, I'm very concerned about where your play group is. You probably have a very high level play group. And if you feel like shunted by it or like this is just the worst thing ever, just Rule Zero. Like, hey man, it seems like every other game someone wins with Jeweled Lotus. Can we just not play Jeweled Lotus for a while? But most people just on Twitter, and that's what they do. So anyway, like, okay, so half people liked it, half people didn't. So people upset the rules committee, obviously. And they addressed in their FAQ, like, the way we went about this, which is all at once, out of nowhere, is bad, and we won't do that again. Okay, I mean, that's nice that you said that. But people have an expectation that you wouldn't do this ever. And I'm sorry, when it comes to people and organizations nowadays, it's hard for the individual to have faith in them. Like, I trusted you to not dick me around, to keep my intentions in mind, and you completely dropped the ball. Okay, so now you see the backlash and like, oh, we won't do it again, we promise. I mean, okay, maybe everyone deserves one, you know, you get one, but I'm just going to hold her in high regard, especially when I believe that they lie anyway. Oh, we don't want fast mana, but we're not going to ban Soul Ring. I'm sorry, you're just being biased. You don't, maybe you don't want fast mana, but you're not addressing the problem, the big problem of fast mana, which is Soul Ring. And now, of course, because they only banned a few pieces of fast mana, there's lots of fast mana, the other pieces of fast mana are now skyrocketing in price. Because now, guess what? Instead of using Mana Crypt and Jewel Lotus, people are gonna use Mana Vault. They're gonna use the land one? I'm sorry. Yeah, they're gonna use different types of fast mana. Like you're not necessarily solving the problem, you're just shifting it over. So don't sit here and say, oh, we really want to get fast mana out. BS. So I don't trust you. Rightfully so, I think. So people were like speculating, well, why do we have these people in the first place? And then other people are making fun of, like, you really want WotC to be in charge of this format? You really want them to control the bans? And, you know, obviously that wouldn't be a great choice either. And I understand, like, if not the RC, then who? Is, you know, WotC really going to make another one? Or are we going to make another group of people? So I get the, like, logic behind it. But just, it doesn't change what's real. And what's real is the RC effed up pretty bad. Pretty bad. So that's a boo-boo, that's a no-no, that's a hey, we don't like that. But we can also say, well, we still shouldn't just give it to WotC, because we don't trust them either. So both things can be true. The RC can suck, and we don't have to trust WotC. You know. And then if you're going to go to, well, who do we trust? I don't know. Like, let's look at the people in the RC. Maybe we need new people in there. Maybe make the CAG the new RC or something. I don't know. Especially when especially in that discussion rant with multiple people, decide to go, oh, well, just because you don't have to trust everyone in the RC. If you just, like, they shouldn't have to have unanimous votes, you know. We shouldn't have distrust in the whole organization if we just distrust one person. And just because, you know, they messed up once doesn't mean that we should completely collapse them. And then, like, their reasoning was like, well, we put faith in these people and we trust these people to make the right decisions. And the whole reason that they have any power is because the community gives them the power to do this. And I'm like, I'm sitting there, like, yelling at him, like, exactly. They abused this power. They messed up. They goofed up. Should they have some repercussions? Should we sit here and say, like, hey, maybe some of them shouldn't be in the RC? Maybe we should get a new RC? Like, if we're going to act like they're appointed electors or whatever for our game, when they F up, maybe there should be some consequences. Maybe they shouldn't be in charge. I don't know. That just seems logical. Don't just be like, trust the RC. You know, like, no. So I think talk about their legitimacy and stuff is fair. Do we need to implode and just get rid of them now? No. But there should definitely be talks. We should definitely be discussing things. Again, especially when Josh Lee Kwai quit the CAG, you know, there's some funny business. He's tweeted many times he does not like the ban. He doesn't like the ban. He doesn't like the ban. He's talked to the RC and said he didn't like the ban, but they banned him anyway. And people generally don't like the ban. So anyway. So I thought that was silly. And I think it should have been a unanimous vote. It's not like there's many of them. And if a card is so problematic, okay, especially this is a non-rotating format. We don't want to be banning things all the time, even though I understand that WotC keeps printing out ridiculous cards. And the RC has no control over that. This I understand. And if WotC continues down this path, more cards are going to start getting banned. I get that. But if a card is so problematic that it needs to be banned, like, hey, Rule 0 is not working, which I think it was with Jeweled Lotus and Mana Crypt. Maybe not Dockside, but yeah. If Rule 0 isn't working, and that's just a whole nother enigma in itself, then we need to ban it. Like, this is so bad. And if there are people on the RC that are like having contentions with that, then the other members should talk to that person or persons and say, well, why don't you think it's problematic? Let's talk about it. Here's my reasons for it. And if we can sit down and discuss it and come to an agreement, like, hey, maybe it should be banned, or hey, maybe it shouldn't be banned. I just don't think the majority rule should work in this case, because if there's still someone on that highly trusted advisory group of people don't believe a card should be banned, then it shouldn't be. I'm sorry. And again, we're trusting these people to be adults, to talk about decisions they have. They're not just willy-nilly throwing everything to the wind, using their emotions and stuff. So, and there was one person that we know of that was against these bans, and that was Olivia. And she's from the Commander at Home group, YouTube channel. She's married to, again, I'm terrible with names, but she's married to a world champion Magic the Gathering player. So I'm pretty sure she understands the impact of taking away these cards. Maybe it was biases, I don't know, because they maybe like playing with these cards. Maybe, I don't know. But again, we're trusting these people to not put in their biases, to not use anecdotal evidence when they make these decisions. So I'm trusting that Olivia looked past that and said, hey, this is not a good decision. But they went against her anyway. Okay. All right, that's what they chose to do. I would like to know why. I don't know. I just don't find the whole, we didn't trust the CAG to talk with them. No, we didn't want a unanimous vote, because not everything's going to be unanimous. If a thing is so problematic, it should be unanimous. So that was just, again, just more frustrating news to hear. And I'm praying they're being honest about it, even though I'm kind of sure they're not. And along with the rabbling of the discussion from the group I listened to. Excuse me, I'm sorry, that's gross. Ugh. Part of their ramblings went over, like, did WotC know about these bans or not? Are they happy about these bans? And again, they didn't really, they just talked past each other, so really nothing was discussed. But I'm gonna go on a limb and say WotC didn't want these bans. And sure, they may have been talking about it for a year, and WotC told them, hey, if you really want to ban these, again, for what reason exactly besides Fastman, I don't know, because that's not a good excuse. WotC definitely told them to wait until these print cycles went out, until after the mystery booster stuff. Like, the timing of it is just way too convenient for them to for WotC to not have told them to wait. So that's one. But two, I don't think WotC is happy about these bannings. I believe WotC probably really wanted these. And a clever thing that the guys talked about yesterday, and what possibly may have happened, and I'm a little bit of a sucker for some conspiracy stuff, so let's put on our prestige cardboard rectangle hat here and say, okay, I'm on the rules committee. I really want these cards banned for whatever reason, but I know WotC doesn't want to ban them. So I need to state my case to WotC to really get these cards banned and kind of get them on my side. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to sit here and go, okay, these are very powerful cards, chase cards. So if these are knocked out, then, things are going to replace them as they already have. And of course, people are saying, well, now WotC can't print more high powers. No. You don't get it. They're going to print high powered stuff no matter what. But now they don't have to print as high powered stuff. So imagine they come out with a, zero cost mana rock that just taps for 2 of any color, only for your commander. Basically, a Jeweled Lotus, but 1 less. Why not print it? I mean, it might get banned. I don't know. But it's slightly... it's gone. That's a shame. But it's slightly less powerful. So why not just say, hey, WotC, ban these really powerful stuff, but now you can print, almost powerful stuff. Maybe a couple more, things that can fit in where people's decks have now opened up. Print Dockside Light. Make it 3 mana. Yeah. I think that would be a great argument. Hey, sir, we'll take out these big cards, but now you can print some newer cards. Again, I have no clue if this actually happened or not. It's just speculation. But I'm just saying it would be a great argument to WotC. No, print more almost high-powered cards. And we might not ban them. Because again, aside from Nadu, everything was playable for years. And I understand that sometimes it takes a while for formats to change in order for players to figure out what's broken or not, and what's healthy and what's not, and other new cards print that interact with these old cards. There's a reason they banned Nadu and not Shuko. It wasn't necessarily Shuko's problem, but Shuko became popular because of Nadu. Excuse me. So, yeah, that's... I wonder if I can get rid of my light now. Hey, the sun is out. The sun will come out eventually. Bet your bottom. The sun will come out eventually. Okay. Now I can lock that. There we go. Okay. So yeah, it was a lot yesterday, just a lot. And there is a big push now for competitive to have their own ruling, to have their own committee, which I think is totally fine. And a weird thing that the Rules Committee dropped in their FAQ is that they were maybe it was the FAQ or it was with their original banning. I think it was original banning that, yeah, you can go. You're going to cut in front of me no matter what. I'm just going to let you go. That they are working with WotC to kind of, I don't know the exact wording of it, but it was like, we're working with WotC to use different tools to set up different modes of play or to have the Rule Zero thing be easier to do or something like that. I don't know. But it was like, we're working towards that. And Josh, in his Command Zone podcast, talking with, again, names fucking escape me. But he was talking with one of his partners and saying, like, why didn't they just, if they're trying to think of ways to make Rule Zero better, easier to discuss, Why not wait for that to come out? And then, you know, if that didn't solve the problem, then ban the cards. I mean, it's just, yeah. Like, to me, the Rules Committee lied about their concern with fast mana. Ooh, my screen got dark. Hold on. I guess I can't really do anything about it at the moment. But, yeah, so they just really dropped the ball. And it just made a mess of everything. Just everything's a mess now. It doesn't mean that the format's dead. And of course, competitive Commander people are still going to be competitive. They're still going to play. You know. It's, yeah, it's just crazy. I'm trying to think, like, going forward, well, you know me, like, I don't care. If people want to play with their Dual Lotuses and so, like, go for it. I have zero problems with it, honestly. But I do feel bad, because I did want to get into competitive. It was looking like fun, but a lot of decks got knocked out, and will have to change, and not for the better, I guess I would say. You can't play too high costing commanders anymore because Dual Lotus is gone. Some decks were all about Dockside, which some people were for, others were against, so that's okay, I guess. Oh. But yeah, I don't know. Let's see what happens in the next, I don't know, while. I don't know, maybe nothing will happen. And we'll see what happens with JLK leaving the CAG. Because he's a huge voice. Like, again, like, if we followed anyone's bannings opinions, I would definitely lean for Josh Lee Kwai. And I'm concerned as to why he's not on the RC. How do you get onto the Rules Committee? Like, what, aside from being in the community, like, being a player, like, I don't understand, how does one get on it? And I also wish they were honest with why they banned these cards. Like, yeah, it's just much, much too much. And I'll try to remember what the FAQ was. And someone made a point, like, since they're the person who has established either the RC or commander or something like that, since he passed last year, they've kind of been flying in the wind without a leader or something like that. Hence why it was probably hard to make decisions. And one of them is employed with WotC. Apparently, I didn't know that. But one of them is. But it's not shocking to me. Yeah, I really hope people can find a way around this. I don't know, like, how many times, like, especially when they state outright, we don't like competitive commander, we don't care about competitive commander, then why not have them do what they want to do? They want to establish their own committee? Why not? They want to establish their own rules? Why not? I don't know, because then, okay. So competitive Commander would have all these crazy stuff in it, which I think would be great. It's like, again, it's like, for me, it's like normal game modes. What's the difference between Vintage and Legacy? What's the difference between Standard and Modern? Some cards are illegal and some aren't, but it's the same format. 4 of each card, 60 card minimum. Like, it just, ugh. And you're sitting here like, there's so many rules. It's like, well, how the hell are you supposed to play any other format? Are you saying Standard players can't play Modern? Are you saying Vintage can't play Legacy? So many rules. Like, come on, man, that's terrible. And it's like, if the competitive people had their own committee, then only competitive people would care about the rules. Your majority of casual players who don't normally have these high-powered cards in their decks, meaning it wouldn't show up as much, meaning the only people that really got affected by this are the competitive people. Meaning, like, hey, casual Johnny at the store, this ban barely affects them. Meaning, if competitive had their own ban rules, you know, Johnny's like, cool, great, I'm playing casual, like, I could care less. They could unban all the cards in competitive. I won't play competitive. And you can have casual Commander or normal Commander, whatever you want to call it, be a slow and boring. be as, yeah, whatever they decide. Granted, I'm not a fan of that either. Because if they want Commander to be like, this is a format for anyone and everyone can find fun in this format, then having an ideological version of it in their brains and then trying to format Commander around it, I think is wrong. I think that's antithetical. But that's what they did with this ban. They're like, hey, we don't want fast mana in this format. I do. They don't. So that's kind of overstepping your bounds, don't you think? But yeah, anyway, it's like, just you don't want the responsibility, but the responsibility obviously should be on someone with this other format that's similar to Commander. Just let them have it, man. Just let them have it. I don't see the problem. I don't see the big deal. There's so many rules. The people who are complaining about that, just say, I don't play competitive. I don't want to memorize. There are many less cards that are banned than the ones in my format, okay? Fine. Whatever. Google doesn't exist. You can't look it up right away. Whatever you want your excuse to be, fine. But, yeah. So, yeah, hopefully that happens out of this. That would be like that would be the most positive thing to come out of this. And then people can have their precious rectangles back in their games. And of course that'll mess up the market, but the RC wouldn't be to blame for it. Well, they still would be partly to blame, but not completely if prices bounce back, which I honestly think most people would be happy about. If I was a game store, I mean, I do work at one, but if I was the owner, I'd be like, hey, those, the crypts we have and the Jewel Lotus, just save them. Just save them. Especially if you have a lot, just save them. Give it some time. I mean, you're not recouping what you had lost anyway. And like I was saying, Jeweled Lotus is soft, restricted listed, because if it does stay banned and there's no competitive version that's gonna make it legal, WotC isn't gonna print more, so there'll be as many as they are, and that's it. Okay, I'm gonna end that here. I gotta go to work. Maybe I'll make another one of these on our way back. Oh, hey. Okay, and yeah. How do I do this? Hey, bye.